Hello, everyone, and happy Friday. Welcome, welcome. As people are trickling in, we're going to take a few minutes because it's 12 p.m., but in New Mexican time, it's like 11:50 something. So we'll give it a couple of minutes as people are trickling in, and we'll go ahead and get started. I hope everybody is having an amazing Friday and looking forward to their weekend. Anybody else doing something exciting this weekend? Our presenter has a very exciting weekend plan.
What about you?
Well, it sounds like the rest of you are going to stay home like I am this weekend. You aren't doing anything exciting, but sometimes that's the exciting thing. Oh, okay. Electronic Playhouse. I see you in the chat. I've never been there. I've always wanted to go. I'm quite a raver. Um, and I've always wanted to see a show there because I guess the floor lights up. Um,
Yeah, so it depends what they're doing, but the floors always because they're like what are they called? Like interactive projections. So as you're dancing, like the floor moves. So it could be like water or it's like looks like
Oh,
it's like
nice.
changing colors. So yeah, it's really, really cool. And then they have the other rooms you can still go in and play like games. So yeah, it's really fun to like go around and there's a room with like a bunch of mirrors to take like really cool pictures. So lots to do there.
I have to check that out. That sounds so awesome. There's been a couple of shows that have come through there that I wanted to check out. Let's see. I'm trying to see who's playing. Toki Monster, is that who you're seeing today?
Yes, and then Eli and Fur tomorrow.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I've wanted to see Toki Monster for years, but I didn't even realize she was playing up there today.
Yeah, I just found out this week. My friend's like, I have an extra ticket. I was like, okay, done.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, have fun out there for me. I actually wanted to see Gorilla Tea at Revel today. Or yeah, that's today, I think. Yeah, but no, I'm gonna stay home with my couch.
With your
Hello,
couch.
Pamela. We're just giving it one more minute as people are trickling in. And then I know as soon as I get started, that's when everybody else will start coming in. And I'll be trying to read and letting people in simultaneously. That's always fun. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and get started. And I'm going to share the screen real quick. Okay. Everyone see the screen okay? All right. Thank you for that nod,
Yes.
Pamela. I'm mistaking everything on that nod. That's what I needed. All right. Okay. Well, welcome everybody to another awesome Health Council Talks. Today we have Juliana Rodriguez. She's the founder and clinical director of the Gold Standard Mental Health Institute. We'll do a further introduction later, but we're very happy to have her today. And we're going to go ahead and start with our land acknowledgement. The New Mexico Alliance of Health Councils gives sincere gratitude for the opportunity to live and work here on ancestral and unceded lands that have been cared for by our state's original people of the Apache Nations, Pueblos, and Navajo Nations. We honor and respect the indigenous cultures, traditions, language, and rich contributions that continue to shape New Mexico. Together, we acknowledge the history and impact of genocide, dispossession, colonization, and ongoing systemic inequities on indigenous communities. As a collective, we commit ourselves to working towards justice and reconciliation, dismantling inequitable systems, standing in solidarity with and respecting relationships with indigenous peoples. The Alliance affirms indigenous sovereignty, self determination, and self governance of New Mexico's tribes, pueblos, and nations. In offering this land acknowledgement, we encourage all of you to reflect on your own relationship to the traditional lands and take concrete actions to dismantle systems of oppression where Indigenous peoples are empowered and celebrated. We want to open up also with just a big thank you. We're coming to the close of legislative session. It's been quite eventful. There's going to be a formal, replay of it, discussion of it immediately after this meeting today at 1 o'clock, and you're welcome here. I think if you just stay here, in this meeting, you should be able to just go to that one. I'm not sure. But we want to give a thank you to the executive branch, Senate's finance community, House Appropriations, champions for sustaining the crucial work of New Mexico's county and tribal health councils. This is a lifeline for our community statewide, rural, urban, and tribal. And this year we got a $4 million one-time state allocation. This was sustained from last year, but it was a new allocation for this year. So very excited that that took place. And like I said, more about that after this meeting. Oh, hold on. Did you hear that when that was playing for a second, that video? No? Okay. I need to fix that. Give me 1 second. Okay, it's going to work this time. There is a video I would like you.
We can hear it now. All right. So again, we want to thank everybody. This success took place not just because of the Alliance's advocacy efforts, but because of all of you all who consistently made phone calls, connected with your legislators, connected with all of the public officials that were involved. And we just want to thank you for all of the hard work that everybody has put in. And we want to thank all of the legislators for funding health councils another year. And I see in the chat, Elias, I agree that song was extremely catchy. And I already know we share taste in music. So, yeah. All right. A couple other quick announcements. Please, there are a few health councils that still haven't signed membership agreements. So you've probably gotten emails or calls from me about that. But if you have any questions around that, or if you'd like us to make any type of presentation to council or your leadership, please invite us to do so, and we're happy to do that. Email us, Valeria, Geraldine, or myself. And also, we just, as a reminder, we are always highlighting the awesome work that you guys are doing in your communities.
So if you would like us to bring that message further outside of your community, we're always here to help that with Media Blast. So please reach out to us for that as well. Let's see. Also, our peer learning season has begun. We just had our first session a couple days ago. It was awesome around behavioral health supports and connecting your community to behavioral health supports. We've got an awesome session coming up March 4th for policy and advocacy. And you can see there we've got an action-packed schedule until the summer. So inviting you to all of those, you can register with that QR code or that Zoom link down below, and we'd love to have you with that as well. And without further ado, I would love to introduce Juliana Rodriguez. She is the founder and clinical director of Gold Standard Mental Health Institute. With an international clinical background and advanced training in psychotherapy, supervision, and systems-based care, Juliana developed the Gold Standard Method, an integrative trauma-informed treatment model that combines cognitive restructuring, attachment-informed therapy, depth psychology, and practical psychoeducation to create measurable and sustainable change. Under her leadership, GSMHI provides trauma-informed psychotherapy, medication management, community care support services, telehealth services with no wait lists across New Mexico. Early childhood mental health programming for Head Start programs, behavioral health services within homeless shelters, and specialized trauma-informed interventions for children, family, and high acuity populations. The Institute also serves as a training and supervision site for graduate level interns and clinicians, strengthening New Mexico's behavioral health workforce. Juliana is deeply committed to collaborative cross-systems partnerships that bridge behavioral health, education, housing, and community-based services. Her work focuses on building sustainable trauma-informed mental health infrastructure that is accessible, culturally responsive, and clinically rigorous. Can we all give it up for Juliana? I'll hand it off to you.
All right. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. Today, I would like to focus on how SB3 becomes operational, how funding translates into integrated real-world service delivery. That's where implementation partners matter. Next slide, please. Thank you. So SB3 created a historic opportunity for behavioral health reform, but funding alone does not reduce wait lists or integrate services. What communities need now is operational capacity. That's where Gold Standard Mental Health Institute fits in. Next slide, please. Across New Mexico, and this is not the slide, but I can talk about it anyway. It's the third slide. 1, 2, 3. The next one. There we go. So across New Mexico, fragmentation remains the biggest barrier. In our estimation, therapy and medication are often still separated. Referrals don't always close the loop. Clients fall through the gaps. Case managers carry the burden of stitching the system together. And our model was specifically built to reduce that fragmentation. Next slide, please. So at Gold Standard Mental Health Institute, we have an integrated behavioral health model designed for complex Medicaid accessible populations. We combine psychotherapy, medication management, MAT services, and CCSS services under one coordinated plan. And the goal is continuity, not referral chains. Next slide, please. What this means in practice is simple. Clients do not go on scavenger hunts for services. Therapy, psychiatry, mat services, and CCSS are coordinated within one system, and that reduces crisis cycling and improves follow-through. Next slide, please. So medication without therapy often fails, and therapy without medication sometimes fails, but integration succeeds. And that's what we're seeing already in, at the pilot programs that we're running. We'll talk about that later at the shelters. And when prescribing and psychotherapy are aligned, outcomes stabilize faster. And one of our strengths that we're already demonstrating at the shelters is that we go to the shelters to provide in-person psychotherapy. The clients that, for whatever reason, couldn't see us for one session or whatever, wherever they are, we give them a phone. So every client that comes in and is part of the program, they get a phone, so that if they have to miss a session, we can still have our session over the phone. And also with the phone, they can access the prescriber over the phone. And so sometimes we're even there, stabilizing a client, in psychotherapy, and we call the psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist immediately sees the client over the phone, prescribes the medication, and then sends it to their local pharmacy. They can go walk and get it there, or somebody, the case manager, can bring it. So it's a very efficient method that is really integrated. And also we have the CCSS workers, the CSWs on site, so that if they are, really at risk of being homeless because they were just evicted, so they're in crisis, we're all working as a team to really stabilize the client, find the job, find the housing, stabilize the client with the psychotherapy and the medication, right? So it's a really, I think we're seeing is a really effective model of treatment, not just for one client, but for the entire community. I think it stabilizes communities. Next slide, please. Are we on the next one? Okay, thank you. I know there's a lag, you told me. So our agency is certified in CCSS, and we were actually able to just launch the CCSS program in beginning of January because it took a lot of things to be able to do it. And it's extremely successful. And we're seeing that we're going to need to expand the CCSS program a lot because there's a lot of community need. But the idea is that clinical progress only stabilizes when housing, benefits, and daily functioning are also supported. It's very difficult to fragment, clinical care from psychiatric care from CCSS care, because you can stabilize somebody. For example, this client I was talking about, who is bipolar, and we were stabilizing her with therapy and medication, but then she was about to be homeless, and she had a 6-year-old child, right? It's really difficult to say, okay, now you're kind of stable, but you're not really stable because you're about to lose your housing. So it's really hard to, and on the other side of the spectrum, it's hard to give people housing and stabilize them that way, and have them keep it and keep their job when they keep going in and out of manic episodes, right? So integrating the 2 or the 3 or the 4 with the mat services, to me, is the only way forward, and the only way to really implement structures in mental health care that are going to really stabilize clients in the long term, particularly our unhoused populations. So CCSS bridges treatment to real-world stability. And just to be clear, we coordinate in the CCSS program alongside the existing case managers. We collaborate with the case managers. We do not replace them. So we make sure there's no duplicate services. We collaborate together and maximize maximize the potential of the case manager and maximize the potential of the CCS worker through collaboration. Next slide, please. We approach tribal and rural partnerships with flexibility and respect. We adapt to community priorities. We do not impose a one-size-fits-all model. And telehealth reduces geographic barriers while preserving continuity. So telehealth is a huge part of our model in being able to, just the no wait list is faster, the accessibility. There's people that have a lot of transportation challenges that telehealth removes. So that part of our program, I think, is very effective. Next slide. So we, as I said before, we do full shelter integration of our services, in-person telehealth, medication, for people that are addicted to opiates, which is a big proportion, unfortunately, of the unhoused population. Providing MAT services is really important. And the CCSS portion is invaluable to kind of stabilize everything. I'm thinking that reform must reach unhoused communities now. I think that should be one of our priorities. I do remember talking with Senator Wirth at the beginning of the implementation of SB3, and he was saying that the model that I was starting to implement on homeless shelters was what he wanted to see more of, being implemented with the SB3 reform. At Gold Standard Mental Health Institute, we integrate directly with shelters and transitional programs, and care follows the client across settings. So if they establish care with one of our clinicians, and then they, as often happens, they get moved to another shelter or to another housing or to a treatment program, we try our best to make sure that the care continuity is there, that they continue to have their therapist wherever they are, and their prescriber wherever they are. And we have been successfully doing this. I mean, sometimes it just has to turn into phone sessions for a little while. It depends on what setting they're at. But, our clinicians are totally flexible. And some of our clinicians, because we also have a lot of interns, the interns tend to be very keen on being flexible more than the fully licensed clinicians. And some of the interns have even gone to the recovery centers or to, the other settings where the clients end up to visit them in person, make sure they're all right, and then make sure that there's continuity and that they continue their psychotherapy over the phone. And then it's interesting, they finish their treatment and they come back, to see us. So we have quite a high rate of client adherence and engagement and consistency given the populations that we're treating. So that's a good outcome measure. So long wait lists increase instability. We all know that. When the client needs help and is in need of mental health care, and we say you have a 3-month wait list, it really doesn't really help the situation. And by the time that they see their appointment, typically, either the crisis subsided or they no longer want to go to therapy, or a number of things could have happened, right? So giving clients with like a lot of acute mental health problems like long wait lists is absurd. So I think that's why that's one of our main priorities at the Gold Standard Mental Health Institute is no wait lists. So many clients get seen same day if they're really acute, but everybody will be seen within a week of calling us. So yeah. So this slide shows how SB3 priorities translate directly into delivered services, like access expansion through telehealth and rapid intake, integrated care through therapy, psychiatry, MAT, and CCSS in one plan, workforce development to the training pipeline of students and interns, capacitation of professionals and then the supervision model, and Medicaid accessibility through aligned workflows. And this is implementation in measurable terms. Next slide. Okay. Partnerships should reduce friction, not create it. We establish clear referral pathways. We provide defined coordination contacts through pilot phases, and we strengthen existing systems rather than duplicate them. Next slide. We always propose starting with a defined pilot population, then in 60 to 90 days, reassess, and then scale from there. So the important thing is at the beginning having clear communication pathways and measurable outcomes to determine whether the pilot it was successful and we need to keep scaling or we need to make modifications, to the original project. And last slide. SB3 is a historic opportunity. Communities deserve not only funding, but implementation excellence. And the Gold Standard Mental Health Institute is ready to partner. So I welcome your questions.
We had a few questions in the chat from Brenda. Brenda, would you like me to read them or did you want to ask directly?
Oh, sorry, I don't look at the chat. So
I'll try to ask them directly.
Okay.
We wrote 2 grants with a group of people in our community that are very similar to what you're talking about. But we were focusing on our detention center population. And so my first question was, what was CCSS? Because I'm just trying to learn all this stuff. But they answered that in the chat for me. But then you said you were certified in CCSS. So I didn't know what the process do our mental health providers here in our community need to get certified in this so that we can offer these services, or?
Yeah. So the first step is for your agency to get certification through HCA. So if your agency is a BHA 432, I believe, then you can get certification as a CCSS agency. If you go to recovery, nmrecovery.org, they have all of the requirements there for certifying your agency for CCSS. And once your agency is certified, then whoever in your group is going to be working as a CSW or a peer support worker. There's different types of designations
Mhm.
within CCSS. They have to get certification as well.
So then that asks me another question. Do you have to have a certified community health worker or a peer educator? Because we have neither in our small rural community.
If I have, yes. But you're asking me if I have certified
No, I
community
said,
people?
does our community have to have that in order to be certified? To get one of our mental health providers certified?
If they have to have what? Sorry.
A certified community health worker or peer educator?
Okay, so when they're certified as a like CHW or CSW, they already have the certification, right? So, but they can't work on their own. They have to work under a CCSS certified agency.
Okay, so we don't have any of those either, that we don't have there are no community health workers in our county, and there are no peer educators in our county.
Oh,
So I'm
oh.
saying, in order to do your program, do we have to have those?
Yes.
Okay, and then the other question I had was the housing. Some of the communities we've talked to say 3 weeks should be your maximum for providing them housing after they get out of a detention center, and to give them time to get down there. But is that really enough time?
And to give them 3 weeks of paid housing, you mean?
Yes.
It doesn't seem like it's enough time most of the time because people take a while to get jobs. I mean, they want to encourage people to get a job right away, which is good. There are some barriers to getting jobs, particularly people that come out of imprisonment. There are some felon-friendly, there's lists of felon-friendly jobs and stuff, so that helps. But, I mean, 3 weeks is better than nothing, but I think if you can secure just a little more time for people to, be able to get their feet on the ground, that would be great, I would also say with the incarcerated populations, and that's one of the things that I was going to do with Dr. Datsy in Rio Arriba, a jail diversion and jail reentry program, and put like the gold standard as a mental health part. For some reason, the contract fell through. I don't know what politics happened, but the idea was brilliant. It was like, because when as they're coming out of incarceration, they need so much mental health support and assessment because a lot of people are not mentally okay coming out of incarceration. So if they're not mentally okay, they're not going to be able to really get a job or maintain a job. So we go back to the vicious cycle, right? You can give them 3 weeks of, rent, and then they can't maintain it because they're not in their right mind to even be able to either get a job or maintain a job. So ideally, you would loop in with a community partner. You can do it with us, like I was gonna do with Yahtzee. Just I have a partner that secures the civilization, mental civilization of that person as they're in the process of looking for jobs and getting stable housing. I mean, to me that's like obvious, but yeah. So I think that the model is like the more integrated model you have, the more chances of success you give to the people that you're serving. The more fragmented model, the more it feels like a joke. It's like, oh, you gave me like 3 weeks of housing. What do I do with this? Because I don't know what to do with that. It's like,
right.
And then
we're also looking at, before they come out, they would already be seeing the mental health providers in the jail. And then they come out and, sort of case managing them to make sure they're seeing that same provider and continuing their medications and all is part of what we wrote. Now, we don't know what all will get funded, but.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get that continuity of care, that would be ideal, you know, like, because a lot of time that doesn't happen, and that is a problem. So, yeah, if you can get funding to do things the way that, you know, is the most integrative for the clients, you will have a higher chance of success. As for CCSS, like if you go to nmrecovery.org, they give you all of the you know, requirements to see if your agency can qualify.
Okay, I will share that with our group that's working on this. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And we also have a question from Carrie out of Chavez County.
So is there funding for housing for them when they're coming out of jail for those 3 weeks?
There is, but that's not my, you know, that's not what we do. We refer them to the funding, to the housing. But the person, I think it was Brenda, whoever was talking to me just now, yes, from what I understand, there is funding. There are different types of programs. There's like the reentry program, for example. They have offices in Santa Fe, Albuquerque, and Española, and they do pay for the first 3 weeks after they come out of jail. But then they have to demonstrate income after that for them to stay.
So I'm seeing massive issues for our rural communities because, like Brenda was saying, we don't have peer support, we don't have community workers, we don't have housing in some areas. We don't have affordable housing in the majority of the areas. Here in our area, we don't have anybody who's helping pay for housing at all.
Wow, that's what
We don't
county?
have homeless shelters, so we would have to do street outreach and go to. We've got in my area. There's the last count we had 250 homeless on the street. So we would have to do outreach because we don't have a homeless shelter, and then we've got roughly just under 200 kids who are couch surfing who are considered homeless to try to figure that out. And then we have nobody who's doing any youth outreach whatsoever. And our one youth homeless shelter per se is already maxed.
Mm.
So I don't know how this is going to work in the rural areas.
It sounds like obviously I don't know how these funds are being distributed, but it sounds like some funds need to go to housing. I mean, as you're describing, there are situations that are untenable, you know. Like, for example, we could bring our model of care to that rural area and really make a difference for the unhoused people. But if we don't have housing to offer to them, it's kind of absurd. It's like we're stabilizing them so that they can go sleep on the streets again. And that's not like an integrated model of care.
Well, and that's kind of one of the problems that we have because I'm Chavez County and then Lincoln County has the same problem. We just had fire and flood and we lost housing and we were already short housing to start with.
Yeah. It's, you know, I'm literally in the process of opening a nonprofit that runs parallel to the gold standards so that I can get apply for grants for all kinds of things, including, you know, things like this. I'm like, how can we join forces to basically like build infrastructure for our unhoused people that includes the actual infrastructure, literally like brick by brick, plus, you know, the type of model of care that I'm seeing that works, you know, because, you know, just building housing, we know that doesn't just solve the issue, but building housing and actually going to the shelter to offer all of these services does make a big difference, because you help them with jobs, you help them with basically any of their needs. And then at the same time, a lot of homeless people do need to be stabilized mentally, because many of them carry a long history and complex history of trauma. Some of them some really brutal trauma, a lot of terrible attachment issues from childhood, and bipolar disorder, schizophrenia. You can give them housing, but many things are not going to get better if you don't treat their mental illness, because they're going to be kicked out of the housing, and that cycle continues. But I agree, without the housing, it's like, I don't know. It must feel awful to be in that situation in that rural area and see what's happening and not be able to help. So I think that there has to be, I don't know, more efforts. I've been working, 7 days a week since I started this agency, but if I could, I would participate more in legislative sessions having to do with housing, honestly.
And we have a question from Brenda.
So I was wondering, since you were talking about this being related to the SB3,
Mm-hmm.
if housing for this type of, mental health care, whatever, was the big thing that came out of we haven't had our sessions yet, our ESIM, would we be able to then use some of the money that's coming to our region maybe for housing? And what we're looking at with the grant that we already wrote for housing was actually, because we have motel rooms, putting them up in motels for short periods of time,
Mm-hmm.
until they could get a job and get a paycheck and all that. But I didn't know if that was something that maybe would help Travis County, because they haven't had their ESIM workshop yet. If that came out, maybe that's something that you could do, is to write for a homeless shelter. Of course, then you got to manage it.
The beautiful thing is we have so many resources across the state with many of our health council partners. And I know in Sierra County, I guess they were able to, with the assistance of their local government, purchase a hotel or a motel and convert it into housing that is often used in wraparound services. So I would definitely reach out to Lisa and talk to her about that. She may have some insight that can help you with that. And if you need her contact information, just reach out to me and I can get that to you. Are there any other questions, comments, concerns, compliments, complaints? We'll take them all. All right. Well, thank you so much, Juliana. We appreciate the good work you do. I definitely appreciate the conversation on, how do we not only how do we celebrate what's taking place with Gold Standard, but how do we spread that to other parts of the state? Um, I I always enjoy conversations like this because I hear kindred people that just want to see the world be better where they are. And I'm grateful that you are putting the good things in the world that you're putting in the world, and that you're inspiring us to see how that can operate in our communities. So thank you so much, and we appreciate having you today.
Thank you for having me, and have a great rest of your day and hopefully a good weekend.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
And as always, please feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions, comments, concerns, any requests, anywhere we can assist you or help you. And there is our contact information. I do have one announcement, and I went ahead and put it in the chat, and I'll stay open for a couple extra minutes too, just so you can read this. But Valeria, our executive director, will host a debrief for health councils at 1 p.m. The registration is in the chat there. This is going to be a debrief on the 2026 legislative session, and she'll be there to answer any questions you may have. It was very eventful, but as we announced earlier, thankfully, it looks like our funding did get included in the budget. I believe it'll be on the governor's desk soon, so we haven't crossed all the hurdles yet, but we've crossed most of them. And I just want to thank everybody again, all of our public representatives, as well as all of you that work and operate in health councils and support health councils across the state, for being awesome and helping us get to that point. With that, is there any questions, comments, concerns, complaints, compliments? Otherwise, I will give you back 15 minutes, 14 minutes of time on your Friday. Okay. Thank you. I see you in the chat. Thank you. All right. Well, I'll go ahead and close this meeting. I imagine I'll see some of you in a matter of minutes at 1 for that debrief. So you guys have an amazing weekend, especially Elias. I'm a little jealous. You guys have a great one. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.